Hey, it's Paul Monahan here. Welcome to the Most Important Game podcast. In this episode, we talk with a marathoner. His name's Casey Abelein. He's actually my nephew, and he's got an amazing story about his first couple of marathons. He's just basically 10 minutes or so into this space, and he's doing some amazing things as a young marathoner. And we talked to Casey about, like, all right, how do you do something that hard and overcome the things like wanting to quit and moving through the pain cave and struggling through adverse conditions. I think there's some really great lessons that we can learn from somebody like Casey for whatever pursuit we are in, whatever performance domain we're in. I talk a lot with golfers, of course, and golfers sometimes want to quit when things are getting tough. And Casey really, I think, gives us some great lessons, great ideas about how to have a little bit of fortitude. And actually, the one surprising thing, I think, is where the real work is. And I think you'll find out it's the same in any performance domain. So, all right, here's our conversation with Casey Abelein. Here we go. All right, here we are with Casey Abelein. Casey from an undisclosed location in New York City, I believe, right? Is that?
Yes, here in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Greenpoint, Brooklyn, oh, of course, where the bagels are just, oh my gosh, you gotta
best bagels you'd ever have.
You got to get some of those. Casey, great to see you, buddy. Glad you're here. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, I want to dive into a bunch of stuff with you. The viewers and the listeners should know that just got some really fun news. We're going to talk about marathons. We're going to talk about soccer. We're going to talk about what it takes to move past the really, really difficult moments. I have this sort of this model where I talk about quit and what is that beats quit. And I know you have that, and you're skilled in that thing that beats quit. We'll talk about that. But I know you just got some really cool news as a marathoner. Tell us what's going on in the spring for you.
Yeah. So, I got into the Boston Marathon. So that's going to be my spring marathon, which I'm really excited about. I feel like as a marathon runner, Boston is like the pinnacle. It's the Mount Everest of marathons, and that's just one you want to run. So I'm really excited to do that.
That's awesome. Have you run any of that route at all?
No, I've never ran it before. I know it's called the Boston Marathon, but the end is kind of where like the ending is in Boston. A lot of it you're just running through Massachusetts, so it's just one straight line, and that's the route. So
and
I'm
that's
excited.
The marathon. Yeah, I was just say, like, that's one where, like, all right, it's not a loop. Like, there's loop marathons, right? And then there's straight. So a Boston Marathon is a straight line. Yeah, it's end to end. It's not a loop.
Yeah, it's actually not record eligible for like the pro athletes because it's just a straight line. It has to have more of like a circular route for it to be record eligible. So,
gotcha. Well, all right. So you got to tell us the story. Like, all right. So you grew up as an athlete playing a lot of different sports. I know you're going to talk to us a little bit about soccer. So tell us about how you found. We're going to get to this idea of Casey Abelein, the marathoner, and I think it's a great story. I want to start though.
Yeah.
Where you started running a lot, and that was when you were a soccer player.
Yeah, pretty athletic family growing up. All three of my siblings played sports. All three of them played sports in college, along with myself. Sister Kelsey played D2 soccer. Sister Megan dove and was a swimmer in college. My brother played D1 rugby, and then myself playing Division I soccer. So later,
all part of the Russell Abelein lineage, right?
Yes.
Your dad was a football player in college and heck of an athlete.
And my mom with ice skating at a young age, so she had some athletic ability.
Oh yes, yes, she did. Yes, she did.
But yeah, I played soccer my entire life, and I think now getting into the corporate world and starting jobs the last few years and not being able to have soccer in my life, I was able to pick up running, and I was always running because of soccer. So it was kind of that fast twitch muscle and that muscle memory that I always had from soccer. So I think I was able to pick up running distance and distance running really easily.
All right. Talk us through. All right. I'm going to put this picture up here. This is the old days at Fairleigh Dickinson. There he is.
That's
Casey
a great
Abelein.
photo right there. There's a big story with that one.
A big story? Do tell. What's the story?
So that was my freshman year, and that was the home opener against Princeton. And 350 people there, home opener. I was 18 years old, and I ended up starting right back. And we went into double overtime, and in double overtime, I had the game-winning goal. And that's that photo
that
you saw there.
story.
I was ripping my shirt off there. So.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Nice. He's ripping the shirt off. Wasn't it the? Yeah, I love that. Oh, let's see here. We'll see if it scrolls to it here. For those listening at home and not seeing this on
That's the next one
on the YouTube. Yeah, it's the next one. It's coming up here. We got Casey's soccer reel. There we go.
I'm about to rip the shirt off right there.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Look at you could see they had their hands in their head like, oh, we just lost.
Great, they just lost. Oh, so sad for Princeton. So happy for Fairleigh Dickinson. Yeah, I mean, this soccer thing, man. I'm like, you better be a runner if you're going to play soccer. I mean, that's just all there is to it, right?
Definitely. And I played right back collegiately, and right back position is like box to box. So you're running all the way up and down the field. So a lot of running with that position.
What's the any idea the calculation on literally like the amount of it's miles, right? I mean, it's any game or
it depends per game, but it's around like 3 to like 6.
Oh, that's not that bad then. Nice.
Well, trying to like dribble and pass the ball at the same time.
Yeah. So tell me about as a collegiate soccer player then, like what are the lessons learned? Like what are the things you learned that you're taking into the marathon running that you've just picked up fairly recently? You kind of talk us through that too. So
yeah, I think it's just the discipline. Just like playing college ball, you had weights and you had to get up super early and get to those weight sessions, especially during the off season. Now with a marathon, right, all the hard work is being done for that training. So that 18-week block, and you're just running that one day for the marathon, but all that hard work is being like put in during that entire 18-week block. And just like the off season for a college soccer season, you're putting in all that hard work in the off season. So I think that discipline that I kind of gained at Fairleigh Dickinson of getting up early and going to those weight sessions and then doing doubles, and you'd have practice in the afternoon, kind of instilled in me kind of that work ethic that I show now with my marathon training.
What was the hardest thing that you remember physically about being a soccer player at Fairleigh Dickinson?
I would say at that Division I level, just the physicality. A lot of college American soccer it's just kick and run, and it's kind of like brute force, and there's a lot of physicality. So a lot of guys in the weight room, kind of bigger guys than you kind of see over in Europe. But the physicality was like eye-opening, and how fast play was.
You know, that's interesting. I remember watching your sister Kelsey play at a high level, and she played in college as well. I could not believe the physicality in the women's game.
Yeah.
And I think you're basically saying that in the men's game, it's like that times whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's actually different than the European game.
Well, it's just a lot more technical over there. And it's getting technical here. Like it's the game is growing like crazy, and you can see that with the play, with the amount of leagues that we now have here. But yeah, over in Europe, it's a little bit more technical. Here, stateside, it's a lot more like kick and run and kind of just getting like stuck in and playing physical.
Yeah. So thinking about the physicality, like how does that wear on you as an athlete? And then how does it wear on your psyche? Because I really want to I know there's a relationship between how you play this game at a high level when things are going well, but then there's also, all right, how do you perform at a high level when maybe things aren't going so well?
Yeah, I guess I guess it's just wanting to get better, right? So you step onto that field and you feel the adversity, and then that next practice you want to hit the weight room, you want to get better, you know?
What goes on during the game? Think about all right, you're down one. You've just got nothing. Feels like you have nothing left in the tank. How do you show up on in and actually with 3 minutes to go, or whatever? If you can tell, can you tell like how much? How
Yeah.
do you know how much time is left in soccer?
So in college
I don't
they
even know.
count down, which is
Yeah.
funny. It's
Okay.
two it's 40 or 45-minute halves in
Okay.
college
So it's
soccer.
still
And
90 minutes, but
yeah, they count down, which is funny. So yeah, you can see the scoreboard.
okay. So we know. Is there any extra time in
Nope.
college soccer? That's it. Okay.
If you're tied, you would go into overtime, but there's no like stoppage time. No.
There's no stoppage. Okay.
Yeah.
Stoppage time. That would be
Yep.
extra time in the European game.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um, yeah. So, okay. So, how much time is left. You got 3 minutes to go. You're gassed. It feels like you have nothing left. Like, what is it like to have to summon something to put a play together?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I definitely remember some games where you're cramping up, right? And you're looking at that clock and you're just like, oh, I wish it said 1 minute instead of 3 minutes. But I think just thinking about all the hard work that you put into during practice and kind of just thinking about the outcome, like, hey, if I do this next thing positive, there's a possibility we get these 3 points, right? We win this game. Um, so I think just thinking that the next move could be positive, that could be a positive outcome for myself and for my teammates.
Yeah, I love that. Um, did you, as part of your training in soccer, was running a part of that, or it's just like no, you had enough running during practice, or
It was. So you were expected to come into camp extremely fit. So I would, in Port Jeff, Long Island, where I went to high school. You've been there. There's tons of hills there, so that definitely helped with my running. And then I would go to the high school track a lot, and I knew that running for me kind of gave me a leg up. Right, I would say I wasn't the most technical player out there, but I was beating teammates out for positions because of how fit I was. So I understood that, and I knew during the summer times that I had to get extremely fit to get that leg up because I know they would beat me technically. Um, but if I was fitter than them, I knew I could run for 90 minutes and they could not. So that kind of, in my mind, would give me the leg up. So that's kind of why I got super fit during the summer times.
so good. Yeah, you can if you're fit enough, like you can outwork these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice. Um, so how did you get interested in running? Talk us through like what was that transition? You'd been out of soccer for a little while and
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a funny story. Well, my sister Megan had always been into running. That's something that she did, and I kind of like watched from the sideline. Her and my dad ran a half marathon, and I thought that was really cool. But I forgot what one Christmas, it was probably, what was it? It was 2021. My brother-in-law Joe, he was
That was
like,
like 10 minutes ago, dude. You're like, one Christmas when I was 7. And
yeah. No, it was a few years ago.
okay,
Um,
4 years ago.
yeah, he was like, "Have you ever heard of this race called the Leadville 50?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea what that is." And it's an ultra marathon in the Colorado Rockies in Leadville, Colorado. And we ended up signing up for it, myself, him, and his brother. And it got to a point, the race was in July, and then it got to a point where we're probably like 4 or 5 months out. And I like started reading up on it, and I was like, oh crap, I signed up for like a legit ultra marathon. I should
You're like,
probably start training.
I said
Yeah.
yes to this. What was I thinking? I should have read the brochure.
Yeah.
Well,
And
shout out to Joe Griner over there in Colorado. A bit of a maniac, that guy, right?
yeah. Which I've
He'll say
now
yes.
ran a couple races with him since.
Mm.
But yeah, I was like, I should probably start training for this thing. So I got a Garmin watch and I started I would run on the side maybe 2 or 3 times a week after I graduated, kind of just recreational, nothing crazy. So like I said, I still kind of had that muscle memory of running, and it was there, but never really like a passion or something that I kind of fell in love with until probably up until me completing the Leadville race.
So that's like that's like 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So completed that race. It was a hell of a race, nothing that I've ever experienced before. I finished that one in 10 hours and 13 minutes. Kind of just went in with no expectation. I ended up wearing, because nowadays you're wearing all these like Nike dry fit shirts. I wore like a Kohl's like $6 Sonoma shirt for that race. Like a cotton Sonoma shirt.
Yeah, good people over there at Sonoma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I
they
really
know a lot about the long distance running over there at Sonoma.
So all I knew
that T-shirt for you.
All I knew is I had to have electrolytes and stay hydrated, and I was able to get through that race. And then fast forward a little bit further down, I signed up for my first marathon, and that was the 2024 Hartford Marathon.
And before you jump over to that, I'm thinking, all right, I want to hear more about what that race was like and how do you get through a 50-mile race? By the way, like you have no context yet.
No.
You've probably run a couple of 3.1s, a couple of 6.2s, right? I mean, right?
Yeah. During the training block for that, I did run a couple like 35-mile just training runs. I was running all over the neighborhood just for hours. Cause you want to get up to that mileage if you're running a 50-mile race, but I never did anything like that. So,
and did you do like a lap of Manhattan or something, or any version of that? Or
I would literally run to LaGuardia Airport and back like 3 times.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to the airport and back.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 10 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's great. All right. So what were your concerns as you're getting ready to run that race?
Like I said, I did not know what to expect. I think one of the biggest concerns was the altitude. Obviously, you're in Colorado as a start. It's higher altitude. And then you're in the mountains, which is even higher. So I didn't know what to expect there. I did no altitude training. So I didn't know if I was going to get to 25 miles, which is the peak because it's all the way up and then you come all the way down. So I didn't know if I was going to get all the way up there and get sick or pass out.
Oh my God. So, what was the altitude profile, or what is the altitude profile for that race?
Don't quote me on this. I think
we're recording you.
Yeah. I think the highest was 12,000 or 12,500. But like I said, do not quote me on that. I'm not sure.
And so you start like at 6 or 7? Or?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was 6. Yep.
Wow. All right. That's insane. I knew you did this race, but all right, this is crazy. Right. All right. So you're prepping for this race and like, a little bit about it. You're trying to you're trying to get some miles onto you. Then you show up and like, what happens?
So, honestly had a great race day. It like I said before, the work is the time that you put in before that race day. And when that day comes, you don't know what's going to happen, right? You could wake up and have the sniffles, right? And you have a cold and you're not feeling good. And, or you wake up, your stomach's hurting and you can't hold any food in. And I just was blessed to have just a great race day, feeling good. I remember getting to like the 20-mile mark, which is like 5 away from like the halfway mark where you would like change your socks and get some like PB&J sandwiches in you. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm okay. Like, I think I'm going to get through this. And I had no blisters at that point. At the end of the race, I definitely had blisters, but at that point, at halfway, there was really nothing wrong at that point. So, when I got to that halfway point, I was thinking to myself, I could definitely do this.
I was texting with a friend today, and there's a few people on the text thread, and one of them happened to be, it was a buddy of mine, and he was on his treadmill, and he let us know. And the other person said, "Hey, let's see a negative split on that treadmill." So now I'm curious. Any negative split on that 50-mile race for Casey?
I think definitely yes.
A faster second half than the first half.
Yes.
Seriously?
I would have to look it up, but think about it. You're going downhill.
Oh, okay.
And the gravity is really pulling you on that way down.
Oh, okay.
The hard part about that is your legs are so tired because there's rocks, right? This is trail running. You really, really have to make, I would see people fall. You have to make sure you're picking up your feet when you're going down the mountain.
And now he's informing us that it's a trail run. So let's just make it even harder. 50 miles.
There were some points that were so steep that you did have to walk it. So.
Oh, that's insane. And the food stations, were there, are you carrying your food, or you're like?
No, there's food stations that had, bananas, PB&Js, that had Coca-Cola for you, ginger ale, all the sugar, electrolytes that you were losing through the race. They were there to replenish you for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So you're halfway through the race, and you're like, "Hey, I think I'm going to be okay."
Yeah. I got to that, there's a drop bag that you can put in fresh socks, a new shirt, and they'll bring it to the top of the mountain for you for that halfway point.
Sponsored by Kohl's. Get a new a fresh Sonoma shirt.
Exactly. So I remember
think I can get Kohl's as a sponsor for this episode. Maybe
get some Kohl's cash.
How many times? I know.
Get some Kohl's cash for everybody.
Get some Kohl's cash. I know. I've said Sonoma 20 times already. So. So you get a drop bag, and you can take a few minutes and.
Yep. Take a few minutes. Changing the socks was a huge thing. Your feet at that point are just covered in sweat, and getting a fresh pair of socks was amazing. And then making my way down, I mean, at that point, my muscles were killing me, but I remember just like I just said, running downhill, you had gravity with you a little bit. So that helped, right? You weren't climbing anymore. You could kind of ease down a little bit, which was hurting a little bit more on the thighs, but, it was good. I was just kind of gliding down the mountain a little bit.
Yeah. And I know that downhill thing, that can be a patella thing or an IT band thing, or you can get really downhill you got to be careful, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
So at what point were you like, all right, I've got this thing. And does anybody quit that race as they're going downhill? Cause it seems don't quit because you're going downhill, but.
I'm sure. Yeah. I think there are some people that definitely quit the race at some point. I think I'm just trying to remember. There were a couple points when I stopped, and you'll find a buddy or someone to talk to, how you doing? You walk a half a mile, and then you kind of pick it up again, and then you'll walk again, and then you'll pick it up, right? Because once you start that descent, you have another marathon to do. So yeah, I think I got to that maybe 40-mile point, and I was still feeling pretty good. And at that point I was doing an on and off run sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I think the last 2 or 3 miles I ran. And then once you get to the last mile or two, that adrenaline really starts to kick back up that you had in the beginning. And that's kind of where you can push, and you start running faster than you probably should be because your body's destroyed and you don't want to hurt yourself. But the adrenaline's taken over. And then you kind of turn a corner, and then you see the finish line, and it's really cool. Yeah.
There's nothing like finishing a hard challenge like that. Yes. And the feeling you get when you're like, oh no, I am crossing the finish line here.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That feeling's definitely unmatched. And then I think that feeling there is a lot of why I feel like I keep wanting doing marathons is because of that feeling right there.
That's super cool. All right. So you finished that. At this point, do you have the bug or what? You're like, I'm going to lead in, or what? I
mean, I think right after that, I wanted to sit down and have a beer. But shortly after that, I wanted
We've got a picture of that. Yeah.
I wanted to keep running for sure. And that's when my sister Megan, she was starting to pick up running as well. She had always ran, but she was kind of accelerating with the running and just running a lot more, getting into some races. And I signed up with her to do the Mystic Half Marathon in Mystic, Connecticut. And this was my first half, and did like a training plan. And this is kind of my first, not ultra marathon, but kind of first road race that I've done. So that was exciting.
And what was different about that? And I'll ask it this way too, like talk about the differences physically, but also some of the impacts that, showed up for you mentally.
Yeah. I mean, physically it was much different because it wasn't 50 miles. It was 13.1. So it was a little bit more of a different, and like the gear was different. Kind of the training style was a little different. But mentally too, I kind of, just like the Leadville, I didn't know what to expect. This is my first half marathon. This is my first road race. So I was just trying to get to race day, like not injured or not hurt. I've also never did a training plan before for a road race. So I was kind of juggling, trying some things like running doubles, maybe running twice a day. How many times do you have to run each week to get better for that week? When should I rest? So I was just trying to figure out mentally, like how to prepare for this.
Did you have a goal going into that race? Like, hey, this is the time I'd like to post?
I had no goal going into that race. I knew I wanted to run fast, but I had no idea what I was going to run.
Okay, nice. So you finished the Mystic Half Marathon. Mm-hmm. Then what's next?
So I ran that one pretty fast. I surprised myself. I wrote down my Hartford time and my Berlin time, but Mystic, I ran, I think, a 121 or 122 half, and I placed third at that race, which is really, really cool. I had no idea that I was going to even place or get like a trophy or anything. So I was
they do give trophies for third place. Oh, first, right? No, but I mean, it sounds like a funny thing, but no, I mean, that's amazing, right?
And when that happened, I feel like that kind of then sparked something in me, like that I hadn't felt since like playing college soccer or playing soccer competitively. And I was like, it sparked like competitive drive. So once that was over, I then wanted to sign up for a marathon, and I signed up for the Hartford Marathon with Megan.
Okay.
That was the 2024 Hartford Marathon.
So this is last fall or?
Yes, last fall. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. So talk us through, did you have any goals? Did you have any like idea like, hey, what starts to get different for you as you're leaning in on this marathon road race thing?
Yep.
Right. How does it change the planning and your thinking?
Yeah. Once I kind of realized that I was a little bit good at road racing and I kind of had this great time at this half marathon, I set my goal at around 3 hours. There's like a big thing in the running community. Like if you run a sub 3 hour marathon, like you've done it, you've made it. So for my first marathon, I wanted to set the bar high, and ended up running a 2:42 for the Hartford Marathon. So I blew it out of the water. And I was,
you couldn't have broke 2:40. I mean, gosh, Casey,
it was 2:42:47. So
nice. Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. And Hartford,
what was the hardest part about that?
The course. The course Hartford is a tough course. It's hilly. There's a lot of elevation gain. So it was definitely a tough course.
Is it a loop course or is it a straight line?
It's a loop.
Okay.
Or I don't know the exact shape, but
I mean, the start and finish are the same place. I guess that's what is that what? That's in my mind, that's what distinguishes between a loop and an end to end. Yeah. I want you to think about, if you can, and talk about, all right, were there moments in the Hartford race where you had to work through some challenges?
Yeah, there were definitely, yes. I went out very strong for the Hartford, where once I got past the 10-mile mark, I had to slow myself down a little bit because I was going too fast. Because you kind of want to save yourself a little bit for the end. I remember that being,
or just not fall over
yeah, exactly.
and not get up.
So that was definitely a challenge. Then I do remember at like the 21, 22 mile mark, which they call like the pain cave. Like marathons don't start until mile 18. So from 18 to 26.2 is when the real marathon starts. And that's when
So
you get
that's
into
when it
your,
really hard.
yeah, when you get into your pain cave, right? It's just you and your pain and the finish line. So I remember at mile 22, I was just hurting everywhere. My thighs, legs, feet were hurting extremely bad. But I knew the race that I've already ran was like exceptional. I remember thinking to myself, I've ran so fast, like I've exceeded my expectations. Like I can't stop now until I hit that finish line. Right. So I was,
Nice.
and I think that's where the adrenaline came from there. I had no idea that I was going to run that fast. And I think just thinking to myself during that time, like you can't let yourself down by finishing a great time here. You have to keep going fast.
Nice. I I want to talk about this idea this idea of how certain things show up in a performance environment that are what I would call mental interference.
Mm-hmm.
And in the golf game, I talk about this model where it's fear, frustration, doubt, shame, and quit. And quit is that part of us where it's like,
Yes.
screw it, and it can show up in other domains as well, in other performance domains. And so for each of those, I call them the five bandits of
Mm-hmm.
potential, right? Because they'll steal your potential. Um, and for all of those, there's an antidote. There's a hero that can come and save the day. For quit, that hero is grit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, how does grit and grittiness, and again, how did that show up for you in Hartford?
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this twice already, but I think the grit that you
Wait,
build,
you wait a minute. Who are you talking to here? We have to repeat a lot here. So
but the grit that,
I've
the
already,
grit that you,
I've already mentioned that. Do I have to mention this
no,
again?
just wait till I'm going to say.
That's good. Go for it.
I think the grit that shows up during that golf game or during that marathon is what you put in before that performance, before that those 18 holes, before that 26.2. And when I got to that point, that 22-mile mark or that 21.5 mile mark at the Hartford Marathon, and I was thinking to myself, hey, don't let yourself down. You've ran such a great race at this point. What allowed myself to say that was because in my mind, subconsciously, I had put in that work, right? I've put in the hours. I put in the running 6 to 7 days a week. And that's where that grit comes from, right? It's getting up at 6 a.m.
Nice.
before work, running, and then clocking into work, right? And then maybe when you get home, having to do a double, doing some more miles, or going to the gym to make sure you get that workout in.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking about as you say that. There's a pretty well known little vignette, little interview with Scotty Scheffler, and so like a lot of the people I talk to are in the golf world, and a lot of the people that listen to this are in the golf world, and he talks about exactly the same thing, Casey. He's like, look, he goes, when I show up at a tournament, he goes, the work is done. He goes, I just got to go out there and see what happens, and like. And he doesn't worry too much about. I mean, he's trying to do a thing. There's no
Yep.
question, right? But he's not wrapped up because he knows he's done everything. He says this: I've done everything I possibly can to prepare.
Yeah, I'm just like Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, yeah. I can. Can I see the rest of your house?
Yeah. Yeah, my shoebox in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Exactly. All right. So cool. So you have a great race, 2:42:47.
Yep.
In Hartford. Then you're like, all right, what's next? What else? You start putting some things on your calendar then at that point, right?
Yeah, well, running a marathon that fast gets you in to a couple of the world majors, and looking at the calendar, I've never been to Europe, and running the Berlin Marathon would just be a dream. So I applied for it and got in, and the Berlin Marathon of this year was then the second marathon that I ran.
I love that. All right, talk us through what happened there then, because I think it was a pretty good race. Yes?
Yeah, it was good. It was hot. Not much sleep, long flight. So for this one, oh, there we go.
There we go. There he is. Oh, speaking of Bandit, look at that.
There you go. That's that's Bandit Running. Their headquarters is out of Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Oh, so get out. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're a great running brand.
That is that's the Brandenburg Gate. Is that what that is in the background? What is that?
I don't think so. No, maybe.
That's a beautiful part of Berlin. That's very cool. It looked like you had a great day. What was it? But it was warm.
Yes, it was. Weather was great, except for it was very warm, which is not ideal for.
That's not ideal
for the marathoner. But I mean, looking back on the race, I finished it right under 3 hours. Grateful that I was able to cross that finish line. I think sometimes now that running has gotten so popular and everyone's running faster, I think we sometimes forget what the feat of the marathon is. It's like such an impressive thing. So like myself complaining about the weather, and I've seen some like social media posts of people saying the same stuff, kind of have to take a step back and be like, we all finished a marathon though. It's a pretty an amazing thing. So during my reflection, definitely thought about that. There we go. There
you go. This was part of your reflection.
Yes, exactly.
A little of the Erdinger.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
No, definitely proud of myself for being able to finish it, and then able to finish it under 3 hours was pretty cool. After running the Hartford at 2:42, I obviously set some pretty high expectations for myself. I would have loved to have a personal best, but I didn't account for the factors of being in Germany and the time difference with the sleep. I didn't realize how much the flight was going to affect me. And then just being somewhere else and not on East Coast time and kind of not near my home to run a race that fast. So,
and what was the time you posted again?
2:58:33.
2:58:33. And I think didn't you beat somebody who's very well known?
Yeah. Harry Styles ran a 2:59. He was in. A lot of people are asking me like, did you run next to him? But he was, yes, he ran like 1 minute later than me, but he was just in the corral, like further back from me. So was probably like 20 minutes. Like he could have been crossing the finish line a lot later than me. So
yeah, I gotcha.
But it's a little annoying. He can sing so well and be a great performer, but also run a sub-3 marathon.
Well, you should start singing.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. All right. So I remember hearing from you at one point, and you're like, "Hey, there were times during this race where I really had to kind of buckle down." I'm see if I can pull the quote of the text up here. I think you sent this to me. I'm trying to see if you sent it to. Definitely a grind of a race. Thought there was a commenter here in the text where you were like, "Hey, I had to definitely work through at more than once." I think, right? You had to kind of work through that. Well, I call it this idea that we want to sort of quit and talk about that.
Quit showed up 3 times for me that day. But it was an interesting race. So I ran the first half at a 1:21. So I'm on pace there for what, a 2 hour and 42 minute marathon, right?
Yeah, right.
So the first half, I was able to run fast, but I do remember at around the 5 mile mark, I said to myself in my head, I need a nap. And I said it out loud, like I worded it. And I was like, wish that like Maddie was on the sidelines or someone like could hear me say that. I was so tired. I
Wow.
barely slept. Um, that first half was kind of just all adrenaline, all just excited to be there. My body kind of didn't know what was going on. Obviously, I was in shape to run that fast, but it was that first half was all adrenaline based for sure. And kind of when that wore off is when everything started to settle in, like the flight, the no sleep, and that second half is really when I started to struggle. And yeah, quit definitely showed up 3 times. Um, the first time, I don't remember which mile it was, but it had to be around 15 or 16. I just remember getting immense cramps like in my lower half of my body, um, to the point where I just like couldn't run. I had to stop and I had to get some water. Um, and like I mentioned before, this was a hot marathon. This was in the low 80s, which is very, very hot. Yeah, there we go. There's another one.
I don't know what mile
Extremely.
that is. You don't. I wouldn't say
That's
you look
towards the end.
as fresh as the daisy there. Yeah.
I look pretty sickly there. Like, like something's
I
wrong with
think you
me.
need it seems like you need a nap at that point,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. There were a few points where just cramping up, had to stop, get water. There was actually, this is the third time that I cramped up. I got really lucky. This was mile, I think 22. This was where I was seeing Maddie, and I just happened to cramp up then. And there's like a video that she took. She's like screaming, like, "Go Casey, go Casey!" And then you hear her go, "Oh no, oh no, oh crap, oh no!" And like it filmed me stopping and like almost like fall over on the road. But it was good that she was there because she had a water bottle, and it was funny. She ran onto the track or onto the road and handed me water and kind of like gave me a pep talk to keep going. So
There's a TikTok of that crazy American woman running onto the marathon track, right?
you have to send that to me. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, yeah, there must be. Um,
Uh, so I remember, and then that part where I saw her, I then continued to go, and there's just a few more miles at that point, and obviously when you're running on the road, they have like the timer every 5 or 6 miles, and it kind of shows you where you're at. And I remember getting to probably like a mile and a half, 2 miles left. I saw the sign and I saw the time getting closer to 3 hours, and I just told myself I'm not letting myself not hit under 3 hours. So from there, I didn't care if I would injure myself, and I probably did, but I was just running as fast as I can and while cramping at the same time. So at that point, I just made a decision.
geez.
I'm just going for it. Need to hit under 3 hours. So going into it, I think my goals at that point, I realized I'm not going to hit my goal, and I probably realized that a lot sooner in the race. But
Mhm.
then I made a new goal with those last 2 or 3 miles, and I said I'm just going to go for under 3 hours.
That's great. Now that's interesting too, because I think in a lot of performance domains, um, being able to redefine what winning looks like and create a new vision for yourself, what winning looks like, um, in the face of, well, say not achieving what the original goal is. I think that's extremely important.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that is very important, but I think at the same time, it's important like not to concede too early to changing up your goals, right?
No doubt. Yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
because it's going to get hard, right? And then if you do that often, then that's just going to become a habit of changing your goals.
Yeah, I think, um, especially in these things where like the pain cave is really, that's a hard place to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Some people love it. Some people say, "Get me to that pain cave," because that's where they like shine. There are some runners that are crazy like that.
yeah, that is crazy. When, one semester in college, I ran cross country, and our coach was a well-known marathoner. He was a runner-up for the 1980 Olympic team. Like he was a solid. He would enter marathons and then win them. Like with legit runners. Terry Stanley from Western New York. And
shout out Terry.
Yeah, good job, Terry. And so one weekend we go off to run at Geneseo. I don't know where we were running, but and the Niagara Falls Marathon was that weekend, and Terry was running in it. So he gets back on Monday. So he ends up winning, right? So on Monday, this is whatever, like a Saturday race, whatever it was. On Monday, he gets back to practice, and we want to know the whole story. So he tells this crazy story. He's basically milling about in his tracksuit, milling about with everyone else before the race. And I guess it was either that he lost track of time because there were a bunch of runners that were around, or they started the race too early. The gun goes off too early. It was some version of this. And basically the gun goes off and he's not ready. And so he's not positioned correctly. He's got his tracksuit, he's not ready to run yet. And he basically starts to just move, and he's like peeling stuff off and like, hopping around as he gets his track pants off and whatever. And he goes on to win the race.
That's insane.
That's insane, right?
Yeah. Talk about like having, like we were talking about goals. Like he definitely wanted to probably do well, and who knows what was going through his mind once that gun went off. And was he like, am I even going to place here? Or like,
100%.
Who knew? Like, if he even knew how he was going to do, and then he ended up winning. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, it's not over till it's over, and hopefully it's not over just as it's starting.
Yes.
Yeah. And to stay in hope, like, you've heard it said, like, oh, hope is not a strategy. Yeah, but you know what? Hope is something that we like. We like to have a little bit of hope, and so this idea of like, all right, possibility thinking. You have to have hope. Yeah. You have to have hope. Yeah, I love that, Casey. So, what's next on the marathon horizon then for you? Where does this? Well, okay, so we know it's Boston, right? In the spring. Are you running anything in the fall?
I'm not running in Berlin. Was my like fall marathon.
Yeah.
I'll probably sign up for something local in January, like a tune-up race. I don't know, a full marathon. Maybe I'll do like a couple halves. And then Boston is April 20th. So, and then my Hartford time also qualifies, or should qualify me. I'm going to apply for the Chicago Marathon for next year. So historical data says that I should get in, but with these things, like, you never know applying to them.
Yep. Awesome.
So,
well, I think, your story is amazing to me. Like, I guess I'll run a marathon and, 2:42, my first marathon, it's amazing. I think people, when they hear that, like, will not believe it, but it's really fantastic. And it's really fun. Like, so much of what you've been doing in your entire sports life, and your athletic life has really prepared you for this. And it's going to be fun to watch the next few years as you enter some of these races. Like, and I think that correct me if I'm wrong, but the sort of the age of maturity in marathon running, like, it's relatively late, right?
you have the faster runners being in their early 30s, and you tend to see runners get faster as they get older, or just the more miles that they put in.
Yeah.
So it's a good time for me to pick it up. You can't run crazy fast, and you can, but compared to other sports, yes, the longevity is definitely there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation was I think there's so much we can learn from people that strive and overcome challenges inside of other domains, and can take those lessons learned and apply them to what they're doing, whether it's golf, whether it's, name this pickleball, I don't care what it is, but, there's challenges and learning to overcome them, learning to prepare. I love that message. Prepare and be ready.
Yep.
And that's where the real lesson, or the real, I guess for me, the lesson is, all right, be ready,
Yeah.
let's just be ready. Let's have the discipline and be ready.
Yeah. Like I said before, the marathon is really that 18 weeks or those 20 weeks leading up to that day. And then that day is just celebrating all the hard work that you put in, right? It was those double days, those 70 plus mile weeks. That's the marathon right there. And that day to run your 26.2, that's the celebration.
Yeah, I love that. Case, we're going to finish on that. That's great stuff. Congratulations on the on the very, very awesome early, I'll say victories, meaning, like freaking, marathons and 50 milers and all that stuff. And I know there's a lot ahead for you in the space. So it will be super cool to follow you. And good luck in Boston in April, buddy.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And yeah, I'll see you in Boston. You better be there.
Yeah, I like that. Good challenge. All right, Case. Catch you later, buddy.
Yep. Take care.
Thanks. All right, Casey Abelein is an amazing guy. I can't believe he did this, right? First, he's such a great athlete, comes from a family of incredible athletes. His dad, Russ, great player, football player in college, and his siblings are playing at a really high level: rugby, soccer, swimming, and so forth. Casey went on scholarship, played Division I soccer, as he mentions, at Fairleigh Dickinson, and he's just been a runner for a long time. And I think moving into the marathon space was a natural for him. But look, these things are super hard to do, and I love how Casey talks about what it takes to prepare and what it takes to overcome those moments when it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make this. I think we can all learn from his experiences, and he's got a long runway ahead. It's going to be really fun to watch what he does in the next couple of years in the marathon space. So anyway, Casey, thank you so much for showing up. And anyway, I'm Paul Monahan. And if you enjoyed this podcast, go ahead and like it. If you want to learn more about the work that I do, you can visit me at paulmonahan.com. Again, my mission is to help you play, lead, perform at your best, no matter the stakes, no matter the circumstances. Special thanks to Kevin Monahan for all the work behind the scenes for producing this podcast and this episode. Kevin, thanks so much. And remember, don't give up. No matter the stakes, no matter the circumstances, no matter the performance domain, you can play better, struggle less, and enjoy the game you're playing a lot more. See you soon.